Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Beard and the Bald. I am not the beard. At the moment, Chris has more beard than I do. But we have the bald Christopher Bumbray, which is kind of, he is the beard and the bald at this point. I'm just some fucking asshole that's on the show.
Yeah. Wow, you're so handsome, Paul. Look at that baby face.
It's so weird. I know. It's like I look at.
Have you shave it? Did Maria have you shave it?
No, so I shaved. I was actually joking around with my son because my, like Top Gun Maverick is all the rage and everything, and so like the rooster stash is like a thing now. So I was just talking to my kid, and I was like, well, I could do a rooster stash like easily. I could shave. I have a beard all the time. Wouldn't be anything to shave down to just a mustache. So I did it yesterday. I shaved down to a mustache, and I'm not gonna say it's hideous. It's not really. It's not me. Like a mustache is just not really.
And then after you see everything, you were walking down the street and you were just hearing.
What's funny is I did get a lot of like looks, like walking around. I don't know if they were good or bad, but I definitely got like double takes. So, but I can't say if it was for a good reason, like, oh, that looks good, or what the fuck is this guy doing? I have no idea. It
wasn't just a
fucking asshole. Fucking.
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm going to VidCon tomorrow with a couple guys from the site from Joe Blow. We're going there to basically do some kind of behind the scenes stuff and learn a little bit more about YouTube, which has gotten to be a very important part of the site. But I decided to take kind of a mini break in LA for 2 days before, and then on the way back, I'm coming back for 2 nights afterwards. And
back to LA again?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
shit.
It's right by Anaheim. It's like a half-hour drive. So
yeah.
I'm just kind of taking a little break, and I did something very very hardcore in LA. I went to a 35 millimeter screening of The Spy Who Loved Me last night at the Academy Museum.
Oh my god, it must have been heaven for you.
But I just had lunch with 2 of our writers, Jimmy O and Gaius Bowling, and Gaius and I got a little day drunk. We were drinking martinis, not martinis.
Margaritas.
He just gotten back from Vegas, so he was already hungover. So he was getting some hair of the dog.
Hair of the dog, baby.
Nice. Yeah, drank too much, so made myself a coffee to be able to do this podcast. Because I'm meeting another friend at 7 to go drinking again. So
good lord, man.
We need to
dude, don't get too fucked up, because you're gonna be sitting in fucking air-conditioned ass fucking rooms in VidCon listening to people drone on and on.
I mean, the thing is, we have some time though, because tomorrow I get there around like noon tomorrow, and then there's nothing tomorrow. And then even when it's pretty dead, we're just kind of we're just, there's like a party I think in the evening, but the conference really starts on, it's Thursday and Friday. Those are like heavy days. Those are like, we have sessions to go to from 9 to 5 both days, like pretty much constantly. So so we'll be doing a lot of work those days. But otherwise, then I come back on Saturday, and I'm staying here Saturday night and Sunday, and then I fly home on Monday.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a long time to be away from home, to be honest. I haven't been away this long at once from Laura and stuff for a while, because usually when I go on these things, she would fly out to meet me at some point. Job too, but she couldn't make it this time. I mean, she doesn't want to just cooler heels in Anaheim either, and it's not worth her to fly out for 30.
I don't know, man. VidCon's pretty fun to walk around in. Like,
maybe. I guess we'll see. I mean, maybe if it's really fun, she'll come next year. But I'll probably be traveling a bit this summer though. I've got the what do you call it? Comic-Con next month too.
Oh shit! Popping your Comic-Con cherry, bitch.
Oh, so that's I was talking to guys. He might drive in to help out a bit. It's like, because they actually give you like quite a bit of credentials, so it's good. Yeah. Well,
we can talk. You probably already have done everything, but there's a couple tips I can give you.
I mean, it's about a month away. I'll probably need some tips though.
There's a few things that I applied and started doing when I was editor in chief.
Are you going for Screen Rant or?
Fuck no. Nothing can Screen Rant, but yeah, I've done Comic-Con enough at this point where
I've never done it, so I'm kind of excited, because
dude, the first one was amazing. Like,
I feel like I won't necessarily
such a great experience.
I might be like, when I'm done,
it's just a lot of work. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Comic-Con is, and one thing that a lot of people don't get when, especially for Joe Blow, it's a smaller venue. You guys don't have unlimited resources.
Oh, it's gonna be two of us. It's gonna be me and Lance. That'll be a bit hit.
It's two of you? Holy fucking shit, dude. Like,
we might get a third though. We might get a third, so it might be a bit more, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, we don't huge anyway.
Dude, I mean, we would have a team of 4 typically, and I'd have so many interviews and junkets, or not junkets, but panels, and then all kinds of shit. And then you have Hall H, and Hall H is like an all-day event. I don't know what it's looking like this year. I haven't even examined.
It's quiet so far, but it's early.
Yeah, it starts to stack up.
I did CinemaCon pretty much on my own, so I'm not super worried.
Well, CinemaCon is great. I'll tell you why. What's unique for you this year is you will have such a close proximity in those experiences of CinemaCon and then Comic-Con, and you will see firsthand why CinemaCon is so much fucking better, because you're going to be stuffed in there with a bunch of sweaty, smelly fans. God bless all the sweaty, smelly fans, but you're going to be stuffed in there with them. And the fans and like all those people that are there change the dynamic of the experience, because it's just not the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just you and a bunch of exhibitors and talent walking around and you're the only people that are credentialed. It's fucking everybody everywhere. You know, there's an excitement and an energy that comes with that too, but it's also like, oh my fucking God, I just need to get from here to there. And it's going to take me like forever. It's just crazy.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll see what they have this year, because they still haven't really announced a ton of stuff coming. But I have my doubts that Warner Brothers will be there, though, because they've got a big problem that they've got to deal with now. So shall we get it?
Ooh, shit. Do they ever?
Fuck. I saw quite a bit of footage of Ezra Miller as the Flash at CinemaCon. And I mean, it looks like a great movie. So I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with it. And it looks like he's like the is actually great in it, but I don't know what they're going to do with it now, because he's become a huge liability for them.
I mean, it just seems like every week, or every other day at this point, there's some new accusation against them that's like, oh fuck. Like,
I mean, I feel like the thing that they're going to have to do with Miller now is they're just going to have to fire them, and then you know, they're gonna have to say, listen, Miller will not be the Flash anymore after this movie, but they also have a $200 million movie in the can that you can't reshoot it, because it would cost another $200 million. You're not gonna be able to get Keaton back. You're not gonna be able to get all the actors back. It's just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it's such a fucking disaster. Like, a PR nightmare.
It is a nightmare, because what are they going to do? The thing is, if they have a press junket for the movie, everybody's going to be asking about Miller. And it's a fair question, because Miller's the star. I mean,
what the fuck? Like, what is journalism if you can't ask those questions?
Fair game. And if they say like no questions about Ezra Miller, it's like, well, what the fuck? Miller's the star of the movie, so fair game.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to release it. They're not going to do any press junket for it. They're going to put as much press into it as they can and just see what happens. Roll the dice.
You know what? I'm going to tell you my theory. What I think they should do, and what I think very well might happen, is I think they're going to put it on HBO Max.
You really think so? Because it's such a huge budget movie. Because that would be a write down. That'd be like a $200 million write down.
I don't know, man. I feel like if they put it in theaters, they could run the risk of like just some really bad PR, because they're not going to do any junkets or anything like that. And if there's no hype, and then if the movie bombs in theaters, that is a huge stain on WB. Well,
not only that,
but on HBO Max, they don't have to report shit. They could tell you, oh, it's the most streamed movie ever, and that could be complete bullshit.
Knowing how crazy Miller is, too, who knows what Miller might pull if they didn't do a junket for it and they released it in theaters, or if Miller was replaced. I don't know. It's a troubling situation. I don't think there's any way out of it. But at the same time, though, like everybody's talking about Amber Heard and Aquaman 2, and that she was going to be replaced. And I don't think they should replace her. I think it's bullshit. As much as I'm not necessarily on her side, I think that you do have to separate the performance, the art, from the artist at some point. And I think Miller, the reason they would have to replace Miller is because Miller is actually a danger to the public at this point. Really, yeah, I mean, they are. But I wouldn't say that somebody like Heard is necessarily, So
well, but here's another huge aspect of that too, is he's playing a good guy superhero.
Oh yeah, of course.
A person that's playing like one of the key members of the Justice League, running around with like charges of fucking around with minors and things like that. Like that's a problem, like that's an issue.
It's a bad situation. I was talking to Barish about it, and Barish is like, what kind of message is WB sending to kids? Because these movies are for kids, and this is the kind of person you should be, somebody who, I don't know. I mean, the allegations are very dark,
and they're very strange, right?
Threatening a woman with a gun because she disagreed with him about the origins of Parcheesi. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
And its roots in Rastafari.
He's got apparently like an arsenal of weapons too, and
he's like kind of a gun nut.
And Miller hides behind that whole non-binary thing too. I think
I think all that's bullshit. But whatever. Like his whole
necessarily bullshit, but I think he hides behind it.
I think his use of it.
I think the community despises him too, though, because not a great look for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly putting anybody's cause in a good light for as far as that goes. But really, I think he's just
Spacey came out as gay after all those years, and then it's like, well, fuck him.
We don't want you. Please stop.
Arrested, and another guy got arrested yesterday, Paul Haggis, for
yeah. Well, and then I guess they're holding him while they investigate it while he's in.
It sounds like he was imprisoned this woman and was like a violent rape. I don't know, man.
Jesus Christ.
He's gonna say Scientology, but I don't know.
What's going on and what's going on with celebs? I guess it's just par for the course. You get money and fame and you just go fucking crazy. I don't know, but there's for everybody that makes the news. There's hundreds of thousands of others that are just like, bro, I'm good. I'm happy in my mansion. I'm not getting arrested. I'm not fucking with minors. I'm not.
I don't think you and I really ever talked about it since the verdict happened, but what'd you make of the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing? I mean, I don't know. I think he might come back, but I don't think he'll ever be at the level that he was before. And I think that things are going to be pretty bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if 10, 20 years down the line, there's a reframing of the case kind of, I do think in some ways it's not a bad deal. And in some ways it was just desserts. I'm kind of in the middle. It's hard. I didn't feel very celebratory when she lost, but at the same time, I would have felt bad if she won too. I don't know. Feels like
I don't know that it was a celebratory thing. I wasn't like, fuck yeah, Johnny Depp. It was more like, I mean, and I reported on it and watched.
I mean, us too.
Extensively.
We tried to stay as in the middle of the road as we could, but I mean, she's a liar, but he's a liar too. I don't know. It's kind of, they're both terrible. They couldn't prove really that he was a liar as much as they could prove that she was. That was the problem. There's just a lot of evidence that really just did not line up for her, and a lot of things that I hadn't even thought of while watching the trial. And I was like, that's a good point. Where, she's like, oh, he always wears 5 big, fat, chunky rings on all of his fingers. And she's saying that he's beating her all the time. And if you're wearing big, blocky metal rings on your hand and you're punching somebody, you're not just gonna create a little tiny bruise. It would be her face would have destroyed her face.
Yeah, you're gonna do some real fucking damage. So that just didn't add up. And the reason it didn't add up is because she was saying yeah, he's punching me, he's hitting me, he's doing all these things, and it's is he though? I don't know. It just doesn't really add up. And she just, I don't know what it is. Look, maybe that's just the way that she is, but the way that she speaks and talks, it looks like
very unsympathetic.
She's just not a good She's not a good enough actress to be acting on the stand. And I think that's what it was. And I read an interview of one of the jurors that said that the rest of the jury, they just were unconvinced by what she was saying, that she did not sound.
And I think Depp had a brilliant lawyer.
Oh my God, the chick Velasquez, holy crap.
The cross-examination, that was it's like that movie, it's like Valkyrie, cutting her to pieces like warm bread, pulling her apart like warm bread.
Yeah.
It was unreal. And Heard, I think, thought it was going to go one way. And my God, this woman made short work of her. She had no credibility left when she was done. Nothing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Depp's lawyer was...
It was unreal.
I was kind of shocked by how personally I felt like Heard's lawyer was fairly inept.
Hugely inept. What's going on? some of the stuff.
Is that really the best you could get? Like, I mean, I know you're just Amber Heard, you're not Johnny Depp, but I figure you could.
But like the stakes, I mean, you know, what's his face could have paid for it, you know, Elon Musk.
I mean, that's what you should be chasing right now. You should just be chasing Elon Musk.
Whatever you could put into that lawyer, I would have got into it, and then you know, hopefully, anyway, it was crazy. But
I think Depp. I really do think Depp could bounce back. I feel like
he could bounce back. I don't think he'll ever be what he was, though.
I think he could be, though. I think because Hollywood is a bunch of like fickle ass motherfuckers, and I feel like, you know, this kind of thing where they see like, oh, he's vindicated, so we're vindicated. Because I don't think anybody in the studios really gave a shit other than having popular favor. And now they can hire Depp without feeling like, oh shit, we're gonna get in trouble. Now they're like, oh no, he's good now.
Will do better than somebody like Mel Gibson or you know, or like those VOD guys, Cusack or what have you. But I think that if I was going to compare his career to anybody's, I would say maybe like Nicolas Cage. Like he'll do some interesting stuff. Like,
sure. But I think Depp was headed that way anyways. Like he's an older actor at this point, and you know, doing like the big action heavy stuff has never really been his thing. But hey, who the fuck knows? Like if you asked me if Liam Neeson was ever going to be like some big action star like back in the 90s, I'd be like, I don't think so. Not really.
Anything. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting another Pirates at some point, even if it happens when he's in his 70s. I mean, the Legacy sequel is all the rage now. It could. Somebody at Disney is thinking about it.
There's no way that they're not considering a Pirates with him at this point. There's just no way.
Because I mean, that is check. So, did we ever talk about Top Gun Maverick, by the way? So we should compare the two Legacy sequels that came out recently, because we just did an article about that today, the best Legacy sequels. And I think that for me, Top Gun Maverick and Jurassic World Dominion are exactly the textbook of how to do it right and how to do it wrong for me. But I know you love Dominion. It was your favorite.
I didn't love Dominion, but I had a blast with it. I thought it was really fun. I didn't go into it expecting some kind of Jurassic Park level sequel. And I feel like it was like really unfairly kind of like torn apart. Ultimately, I just had fun. Is it great? Is the story like the best story they could have ever done? No. But did I love seeing all of the Jurassic Park characters back? Did the action like move with the movie? Yeah. So I had fun, you know, it was cool. But
I found that having the Jurassic Park characters back was just pure fan service. Whereas as opposed to Top Gun Maverick, where the movie was built around Maverick and it felt organic. You know, Jurassic Park Dominion. So a perfect example is the fact that Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler get back together. Okay, that was something that fans always wanted. Is there a reason for them to do that though? Like I kind of thought it was more bittersweet that she had moved on in the third film. You know, and it was just a pure fan service moment. I thought that Jeff Goldblum had nothing to do in the movie, almost like they wasted him. And I thought that
it was fun though.
And I found that Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard totally checked out of the movie. Pratt had some good action stuff, but I thought that they seemed like they were checked out. The people actually that impressed me, I thought that Samuel was great, and so was Laura Dern. They were great. I thought that it was kind of contrived the way they were brought back in, but they were so good that I kind of wish the movie had just been built around them and the girl, and them trying to help the girl escape. Because I like that premise, because that's something they would do. Right. Sure. Like they do have that heroic quality, you know, and I do like that, you know, and I think that Sam Neill, I always thought got really, you know, the shaft in that series, because I think that Alan Grant should have been the Indiana Jones of the 90s in some ways, you know, and he never got the opportunity to really do it. You know, I think it was a mistake to build the sequel around Ian Malcolm. As much as I love Goldblum, you know, I don't think that there was as much as they could have done with the character as they could have with Sam Neill, whose character knew everything about dinosaurs. They could have made a really...
Well, that's the thing is, Ian Malcolm is, you know, he's a theorist or whatever. He does the chaos theory. He's not an actual paleontologist or has any kind of real investment as far as the dinosaurs.
Could have made a really exciting series with Sam Neill as Alan Grant and even have Laura Dern as Ellie Sattler be in it too. I think you could have had a great series with that. His arc in the first movie is great. And I kind of wish they'd been the leads with the girl. The one new character that I liked though is I liked the pilot chick.
DeWanda Wise. I loved DeWanda Wise. She was great.
She was a very good.
Kind of a little crush though, so it's not really.
Well, I mean, she's like, her face is like next level human, like their eyes and stuff like that. Like it was just like I saw her in something else too recently.
Very, very easy on the eyes. That
and it was just like, whoa, like she is striking. And I thought her character was cool. I liked her plot. And
well, and I'll tell you one thing that I liked about her and that I thought would be cool. Like, I never saw the connection between Owen Grady and Bryce Dallas Howard's character. I've always felt her character was just
I thought that they had more chemistry too. There's the scene
Wanda Wise and Owen Grady. It seemed like it would have been cooler to have those two characters link up because they had way more in common characters.
The part where he rescues her and she shoots him this kind of look, like this kind of like this like sexy look, and I was like, oh yeah, they have chemistry, the two of them.
Yeah, and there was chemistry too. Like that was something I was like, oh man, that I buy that way more than Owen Grady being with Bryce Dallas Howard.
Well, I never understood that. Full of action, like they're kind of, like badasses.
Yeah. Well, and Chris Pratt, and I'll definitely talk more about Chris Pratt later in the show, but he shows up and does exactly what he's asked to do, and he absolutely has the best action of the franchise. And I will give Colin Trevorrow credit for this because I'm not a huge fan of his, but the action I felt in Jurassic World Dominion was the best that he's done thus far. For me, I thought like the chase sequence in Malta was like fucking Dinosaur Impossible. Like it felt like a Mission Impossible movie with dinosaurs.
I like that though. I don't think you need a motorcycle chase in a dinosaur movie. And there was some things that were so stupid, like the beginning, the little prelude where dinosaurs are among us. 39 fatalities since this happened. 39. It would be like
I mean, listen, the whole premise of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World is
fucking dangerous there. 39, it's not so bad. I mean, it's like, okay, but were they accidental?
The concept, like,
stepped on somebody, the dinosaur was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
My bad. Yeah, the concept of living with dinosaurs is just completely implausible. They can't coexist. It's just not, there's no way it would ever work.
I mean, maybe arcaded into a corner of it, but it was just, I don't know. But I loved, it brought me home to how much of a missed opportunity the franchise has been. I wish that Spielberg had stuck with it. I wish that, Jurassic Park 2, I don't know why he let himself, get convinced to use like Goldblum as the hero, where you had Sam Neill, who was so great in that movie. It's like, it's so fucked up. It's like if you had done like, imagine like, what was the last like franchise movie, John Wick. You do John Wick, and then you're like, oh, John Wick is great, but who's really good in that movie is like the
is Lance Reddick. We're gonna make it Lance Reddick.
So let's make him the star of the next one. And it's like, it's kind of like, what's the point of that? Like it was just kind of, I don't know. I always thought that you could have done it. I don't know. I just didn't know why Ian Malcolm was the lead of the Lost World. As much as I like Ian Malcolm, and Jurassic Park 3 could have been good, but you didn't have Spielberg. It was kind of bargain basement a bit. It had some good things in it, but it was just kind of like
Joe Johnson. Well, cheap. And I think that's another reason that I was the appeal for Jurassic World Dominion to me was to see that the legacy cast together again. I wish that they had more involvement. Again, yes. I don't think the movie is perfect, but in the end, did I have fun? Yeah, I did. I had a good time watching.
As opposed to that though, then you've got Top Gun Maverick. Okay, and Top Gun Maverick is winning people over. I mean, that movie is a bigger deal than anybody thought it was going to be.
Way bigger.
I was just in a bar and I was talking to Gaius, and Gaius had told me he never saw Top Gun for the first time until 10 years ago, which blew my mind. He's 37 years old. But he was telling me that he was like, I thought that Top Gun Maverick was a better movie than Top Gun. And then the bartender, who's like 60, was like, I agree. And then everybody in the bar started talking about Top Gun Maverick because everybody's gone to see it. That's the thing. And it's really gotten, like, it's captured the zeitgeist in a way that very few movies have done recently, and it's going to probably, go down as maybe the biggest movie of the year. Like, we'll see. And
already the biggest movie of Tom Cruise's career.
And that's amazing, and I think that that's a perfectly done legacy sequel because you've got the guy who you fell in love with in the first movie. He's the star, but there's another chapter for him. He's not doing the same shit that he did in the first movie because there are different stakes when you're older and you come to things with you have different things that are important to you as you get older. And there's a consequence for living the life that he lived his life, and I think that the movie addresses it beautifully, but also is a Top Gun movie because it's fucking fun. Right. And I would say that the flying sequences are far superior in this to the original. I have nostalgia.
I don't agree with that. I think Tony Scott's like got a rock and roll style that like
I think that the original is a better movie just because for nostalgic reasons alone. But I think that the flying in
Top Gun Maverick hinges completely on Top Gun. Like,
of course,
Top Gun Maverick, it is literally a love letter to Top Gun. So without Top Gun Maverick holds no weight because everything hinges on, this is Maverick. This is why we care about this character. This is why we love him. If Top Gun had never existed and they just made Top Gun Maverick, maybe it would still be popular, but it wouldn't be anywhere near what it is now.
I do think though that this had the best flying I've ever seen a movie, and I've never seen a movie that conveyed as much like the physical experience of flying as this film did.
I think the stuff in the cockpit is great, but I do miss I miss a lot of like Tony Scott style. There's just nobody that can, in my opinion, nobody.
Would it have been as good though if they had tried to ape that style though? I don't know.
I wouldn't want them to. No. And that's the thing is Top Gun Maverick can still be outstanding, which I think it is. I've seen it 3 times. And I saw it in whatchamacallit, the screen that goes all around, the Screen X format. Oh, wow. It was awesome. But I think it's an amazing movie, and it's awesome. Is it better than the first Top Gun? No, I don't think so. I think it's amazing. Both films are amazing. I think the first Top Gun is the better.
Now, your son maybe in years from now will consider Top Gun Maverick a better movie though.
Maybe, but my son loves Top Gun too. Like, and I've never asked him if he likes which one he likes better, but he loves Top Gun, and he loved Top Gun before he even knew Top Gun Maverick was a thing. So
I mean, Top Gun is a great movie though.
Top Gun, I recently watched it in 4K on my TV, and dude, I was actually blown away at how fucking amazing it's still.
I've seen it in theaters a couple of times. I saw it in 3D in IMAX.
I went back and I started watching the making of stuff because I was boning up for some stuff I was writing for Screen Rant, and I was like, I wonder how, because I couldn't remember, and we didn't really follow that stuff back then. And I was very curious, like, how much did Tony Scott work with these guys in relation to Joseph Kosinski? Dude, it's the same fucking thing. Tony Scott worked hand in hand with the Navy throughout the entire thing. They shot with real planes. The only thing they didn't do was put the actual actors in the cockpit and shoot that stuff while they were actually flying. Everything else, they planned and shot all of those flying sequences, which is fucking amazing to me.
There's an interesting note though. David Paul Kirkpatrick, who used to run Paramount, I'm Facebook friends with him, and he was telling stories about the making of that movie. And apparently there was the first cut of the movie, they had the visors on and like the reflection of the clouds in it. And then they decided to remove the visor to show their eyes, the actors' eyes. And it wasn't necessarily realistic. Could you imagine the movie if it hadn't been done that way?
That would be wild.
It wasn't realistic. They wanted to be more realistic and have like the thing, but then they were like, no, we need to see
Tom Cruise's eyes, baby.
Yeah.
We got to see how good he looking. Yeah, but anyways, I think that the success of Top Gun Maverick is awesome. I think that it's great to see people so excited about it and people like so just like into it when it's, a non-superhero movie making this kind of money out of the blue like this is great. It's amazing.
I hope Bullet Train does need some more old school stuff.
Yeah.
Did you see Kosinski's follow-up, Spiderhead?
I haven't watched Spiderhead yet. I've seen a few clips, but I haven't watched the whole movie yet.
I mean, it's like an expensive Black Mirror episode. It was shot during COVID.
Yeah.
So it's a small.
I read the short story from what was it? New York, not New York Times. It was a very strange.
I liked it though. I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I've been catching up on a lot of other stuff too. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to Kosinski's next thing, which will be with Brad Pitt, the Formula One racing movie.
And he says that it's going to be done the same style of
Top Gun. So that's going to be being really cool. And thankfully it will be going to theaters as well, because that would suck to make a Formula One movie, going through all that shit, just release it on Apple TV Plus. Like, fuck. that would not be cool. So I'm very hyped for that. I think Joseph Kosinski is a great filmmaker. He's really great on a technical level. I'd like to see him be a little more stylish, which he kind of teased with like Tron Legacy and a little bit with Oblivion. I'd like to see a little bit more of that too, like, just having a little more fun with it. But either way, he is a filmmaker to be excited about. So I like seeing what he has to do.
What did you think of the news that Game of Thrones is getting a Jon Snow spinoff? Didn't I call that years ago?
I think we both called it, because I'm like, dude, like, and I was talking to my wife about this, and because she's a big Game of Thrones fan too, and I was like, they said even in the show in the last episode when Jon Snow asks Tyrion, he's like, did we make the right call by killing Daenerys? And Tyrion was like, ask me again in 10 years. It hasn't been 10 years yet, but we're getting close. And by the time that Jon Snow movie or Jon Snow show comes out, it'll be about that time period. Like, why wouldn't you continue with these characters?
And here's out there. Use Brienne of Tarth is still out there. Sansa.
I mean, Daenerys, for all we know, is still alive.
I know, Laura said the same thing. That was a very
carried off by a dragon. Who the fuck knows what happened?
A very soft death. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But like, here's the thing. And I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this because they're like, oh, fuck, I'm not going to watch this shit because George R. R. Martin's not involved. And I'm like, George R. R. Martin's kind of checked out on his own series in that way. It's kind of like Star Wars in that way. Like, Game of Thrones has grown a little bit beyond.
He's never even finished the books, though. He hasn't. He's had ample opportunity to. I mean, he's blocked or whatever. It's been so long. If you wait for him,
nothing's going to happen. But why wait when you have these? I mean, listen, like, people love these characters. I love Jon Snow. I think Jon Snow is an amazing character. I think Game of Thrones is an amazing story. And the bottom line is, like, the showrunners, Benioff and Weiss, those guys did some fucking tremendous work. I don't know if they'll be involved. I don't think that they are. But either way, it's like there are people that can interpret this stuff and carry it on and do something great with it. There also are people that can fuck it up, just like they do with Obi-Wan Kenobi, where you have ample opportunity.
I still haven't caught up on it. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so
it doesn't get any better.
Might have to record that bit without me because I still I'm not. I do plan on watching it though, but I've heard very mixed things.
There's nothing I can spoil for you. It's just not good. There's no risks taken as far as Obi-Wan goes. There's no risks because
Disney Plus is not very good at shows, except for maybe The Mandalorian.
But The Mandalorian is the only good show Disney Plus has done. That's it. I liked WandaVision, so maybe I'll give you some points on that one. And Loki was okay, but everything after that has just been.
On to the point now that everybody, when they see new trailers for Disney Plus shows, like,
I'm just skipping Miss Marvel at this point. I didn't even watch any of the episodes because I'm just like, it's really not, I'm not like the best audience for that. I don't know anything about the character. I've never read those comics. My stepdaughters love it though. They're watching it and loving it. So cool. Like, let them enjoy it. I don't need to have like a comment on Miss Marvel, but the truth is there's no reason I couldn't watch it, but it just doesn't even look appealing to me. I'm just like, like, her powers are boring. Like, oh, she can stretch and like do this. I'm just like, I don't really give a shit. Like, I just don't care. It's just not a character that appeals to me. And Moon Knight didn't do much better either. Like, Moon Knight was fucking terrible. Like, I fucking hated Moon Knight. It was such a waste of time, man. I was just like, is this really it? But yeah, Obi-Wan has just been all the years that you and I, before they even announced Obi-Wan Kenobi, you and I talked forever about, oh my God, Obi-Wan would be so great if they did that. Why are they not doing it? And it's just like, here they're given like the keys to the Obi-Wan kingdom and they just completely fuck it up. They take no chances. They take no risks. And everything all the choices that they've made are all just safe choices. Like, like, oh, hey, what if we introduce this character? Then we're just going to kill her off. Like, we don't even give a shit about this character. Like you've done nothing. And we all know what happens to Obi-Wan. We all know what happens to Darth Vader. We all know what happens to Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker. From life to death, literally birth to death. We know everything about these characters.
Right.
What are you going to do? What can you do to like make it interesting? And they don't take any of those risks that they could. So it's been a very disappointing show. And I feel like the only thing that could potentially save Obi-Wan is another season and given to somebody else. Like, I'm sorry, Deborah Chow, you're fired. Please don't make another season. They need to give it to somebody else that will take risks. And it goes for the writers too. They need to get a whole new creative team on this and give the story that people want to see, which should be a dark character study about Obi-Wan. Instead, he's sharing this show with like this precocious little, like little girl actress playing Princess Leia who sucks.
Well, and it's just basically the Mandalorian again with like the cute sidekick. Like,
yeah, which is ironic because that originally it was going to be Obi-Wan and Luke, like a young Luke, and then they're like, oh, we can't do that because it's just like Mandalorian. So then they just swapped Luke out for Leia. Like, you're doing the same shit. The best Obi-Wan adventure that you could have is Obi-Wan doing something completely outside that has nothing to do with Luke fucking Skywalker. Take Obi-Wan, put him on a mission and have him explore something about himself that we've never seen before. Have him have a romance. He's not really a Jedi anymore. Show him like have a romance with somebody. Show him on an adventure where he goes to save some Jedi or and he should be communing with fucking Liam Neeson. He should be communing with Qui-Gon Jinn, and yet nothing like that has happened. I'm just like, so you're just telling me that Obi-Wan just goes in the desert, lives in a cave, and works at some facility where he chops up fucking some giant beast in the desert, and that's it. Like, it's just nonsense. It's not a good story. It's terrible. And as cool as Vader is, and as cool as Hayden Christensen is back, which is really just back in physical form because you have James Earl Jones doing the voice. It's just not enough. Like, yeah, it's cool to see Vader fuck some shit up, but in the end, does it really do much? I feel like Vader just needs his own show, but please, whoever's making Obi-Wan, don't let them have anything to do with it. So anyways,
how about one of the biggest stories that we had this weekend was Tom Hanks said that he wouldn't be able to do Philadelphia again. So what are your thoughts on that? I don't know that it's necessarily true, because I mean, I think you still do have straight actors play gay, and I think you could have vice versa. I don't know that that's a huge concern.
I'll tell you exactly. I mean, I'm reading it from Joe Blow here. I think
he means well by his comment, but I don't necessarily know that that's.
This is what he said. This is what Tom Hanks said. Could a straight man do what I did in Philadelphia now? No, and rightly so. The whole point of Philadelphia was don't be afraid. One of the reasons people weren't afraid of that movie is that I was playing a gay man. We're beyond that now, and I don't think people would accept the inauthenticity of a straight guy playing a gay guy. It's not a crime. It's not boohoo that someone would say we are going to demand more of a movie in the modern realm of authenticity. Do I sound like I'm preaching? I don't mean to. Now, I love Tom Hanks. Who doesn't love Tom Hanks? But I disagree completely with
I don't even know if it's true, though, because, I mean, if you think about, The Normal Heart recently, that was Mark Ruffalo starred in it, and he did the Liberace.
Taylor Kitsch.
I think that I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, I think that, maybe they would try to cast a gay actor, and I think that, it would probably be a good idea. I mean, like, I think that you could definitely cast a gay person.
Why?
There are plenty. I mean, they're
a good idea, though.
Look, have you seen, if you really want to watch something really good about AIDS, there's a great miniseries called
Do I want to watch something really good about AIDS?
But it's very good. I mean, it's called It's a Sin, and it's pretty much all a gay cast, and it is very effective because they do have more of an insight into that and into what it would be like living that way than we.
Maybe, but do they write this? Do they write the screenplay? Do they, are they directing it? It's like we're getting.
I don't know.
I think we're getting to a point where it's like, so you're saying that only certain people can play certain roles. What is the point of even being an actor?
Well, I don't think that's true, though. I don't think it's true that there would be a massive backlash. I think there'd be some backlash, but I don't think that there'd be
let's just be very clear. There will be some backlash by people that like are trying to stand on that pedestal.
Well, there will be a backlash
to every
casting that you could do. But yeah, I think that's probably true, though, that most people don't really care. And
most people don't care. Most people really don't give a fuck. They're like, I want to see an actor.
I mean, Bradley Cooper is playing a gay guy in his new movie that he's doing, his Leonard Bernstein movie. I mean, he's a gay man, that character. So
he's also Jewish. And I saw somebody write a story at a site.
Nobody cares, though.
Where they said that it's whitewashing, and I'm like, what? How that is not the definition of whitewashing. Like it's fucking
still gonna get financed, and it's still going to be a huge movie. So I don't think that people care as much as maybe they think.
Listen, nobody cares except for the people on the fringe. Those are the people that fucking care. Those are the people that make the most noise on Twitter and social media. Most people, average everyday people who are in fact accepting of all of that shit, don't fucking care.
By the same token, though, I also think that a gay actor should be able to play straight, and there are plenty of them that do.
Exactly, and you can't have a double standard. It's like if a gay actor can play straight, then a straight actor can play gay, and vice versa. I remember when Scarlett Johansson was going to play a trans character in that movie, and then she ended up not doing it because a few people were like, "This is outrageous. Only trans actors can play trans characters." Like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, anybody can play anything. That is your literal profession as an actor. You are an actor.
I feel like that's a dicier. I think that there'd be more backlash to that than there would be to a straight actor playing gay.
I mean, the thing is, you don't have, like, back in the day, right? Like, you had, what did I watch the other day? I was watching Commando with my son because he hadn't seen it before. and Dan Hedaya is like a Latin American dictator. Like, I feel like that's the kind of stuff that's like, well, okay, obviously we're not going to do that kind of shit. Like that's like back in the day when you had, white actors playing Asian actors, like in a cartoon manner, like that shit's not going to happen.
You know what I'm surprised though? You know what I'm surprised? Some people are complaining about Ana de Armas playing Marilyn Monroe because she's not white. And I think that's stupid. Like you need.
It is. I mean, even, she's a Cuban actress playing a straight up American woman. So again, if we're going to say that only a gay actor can play a gay character, then only Americans can play Americans. Are we going to say that too? How far is this going to go? And who's going to set those standards?
I think she's great casting too, because she does kind of look a bit like her. And fact is, they need somebody crazy hot for the part.
I think she looks great. And, I did a story about the NC-17 rating and how, that's come about. And I think it's going to be a fascinating movie. I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't think that it's not going to be I mean, listen, Andrew Dominic is a strange.
It's going to be very controversial.
It's going to be controversial. I think it's going to be raw. I think the rape scene is probably going to be tough to watch. I think it's going to have excessive nudity. I think it's going to have sex. I think it's going to have all those things. It's going to have drug use. Listen, bottom line is Marilyn Monroe was married 3 times. She, has an affair with JFK, unproven, I guess, but she was an addict, alcohol, drugs. These are things that existed. So, like one of your complaints about Bohemian Rhapsody, which I agree with, is, it didn't show like the darker side of Freddie Mercury, or at least the true side, right? Which was that he used drugs, he had orgies, he had sex all the time. Like nobody's necessarily saying that's wrong, although it did end. End well for him.
Bohemian Rhapsody, he goes to a truck stop to have random gay sex one time, and then the next scene he's coughing. You're in the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. I have to say, you know what I'm very intrigued by though, and I thought it was a joke at first, the Joker musical sequel with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. I think it's amazing. What do you think?
I'm intrigued by the idea, and the thing is, it's so Todd Phillips.
It'll be done in a way that'll be very interesting, though. I don't think it's what people think it's going to be. I think he'll be an asylum. He'll be going crazy and he'll have fantasies, probably.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. Yeah, exactly. I think it will be something where it takes a trip inside their heads, because that's kind of what the first Joker was, right? Like you get to the end, you're like, oh shit, was that in his head? Or, oh fuck, he's actually a fucking maniac, right?
I don't think it's going to be all singing, all dancing. Joker 2.
No, I think it'll
Joker 2, the joke's on you.
I think that having musical sequences within Joker 2, and if you actually have Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, I think actually would be fucking brilliant.
Even if it wasn't a musical, though, she's pretty good casting.
Yeah, great casting. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want to see Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn?
If you've got like Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn kind of works pretty well, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I would love to see it. I would go. I mean, I loved Joker. I thought it was great. And I think that, how do you follow Joker? It's difficult to just make a linear sequel to that and just continue that.
You have to make something different. You have to take a big risk.
Absolutely.
As much of a risk as the first movie was, you have to do the same thing in a sequel. You have to take as big of a risk. And I think that this is risky, but I think it could pay off very, very well. Or it could be a disaster, but I think it'll actually pay off well.
I would opt for the potential for a disaster than playing it safe, because I think doing the same thing that you did in the first one, I don't think that it would move the needle. I think people would be like, but like all of a sudden it's a musical and you have like all kinds of crazy shit going on. I think you got to swing for the fences.
At some point, like it'll be, if they continue going on, a very different version of Batman. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool to actually see. There's like so many ways you could go with that. There's so many things you could do. It would be cool. I think it would be cool. So I support it. I supported Todd Phillips. You do your crazy ass Joker sequel. Getting Joaquin Phoenix too to come back for a sequel is no easy feat. So if you could get him to sign on, like shit, do it. Go for it.
So I gotta ask you, I've talked to a bunch of people that saw Terminal List and were not crazy about it, but it seems like you've had the opposite opinion.
So I mean,
I have not watched it yet. I have the screeners. I should watch it.
I can't go. I mean, I don't think I can go into crazy spoilers, but it did debut at the whatchamacallit festival on the 18th. So I actually loved the Terminal List. I thought it was amazing. And I got screeners because I'm lining up people for this podcast to talk to Antoine Fuqua and Jack Carr for the next episode. So and I'll be talking to them this week. But from my perspective, I thought Terminal List was awesome. It is, the thing about it is it completely redefines Chris Pratt. It sheds his like, you know, funny, cool guy image. Like it destroys his Parks and Rec reputation in the best possible way. Because if Chris Pratt wants to evolve beyond like the funny, cool guy, beyond Star-Lord, the Terminal List is like the perfect role for him as far as that goes. What I like about it is that it's hardcore in terms of the action and like the circumstances, like the narrative as far as everything that happened.
Our critic, and I can't get into it either, but he told me that as far as plot goes and as far as the action goes, he has no complaints at all. He said both are very good.
Yeah.
It was more pacing, the fact that it was an 8-hour miniseries as opposed to a film.
It could be a film. I'll tell you, and I agree that there's definitely ebbs and flows, just like any series. I could say the same thing about The Boys, which I've also been watching. It's like sometimes it's like, some episodes are better than others. What I like though about Terminal List is that it goes in different directions and it's able to kind of like play with that. So there's a number of different set pieces that I didn't see coming.
Tangents as well. I actually really liked The Boys season 3 though. I finished it. I thought it was great.
It's not over yet.
I finished. I got the screeners, so I saw it all.
Oh, you finished? Okay, never mind. You finished. Okay, I haven't finished yet. I'm just watching them one by one. But the Terminal List, it's kind of like The Punisher meets Rambo meets like the techno thriller type series, all wrapped into one. And we just don't have a lot of shows like that out there that are actually taking those kind of like bold risks. And there's scenes too where I'm like thinking James Reese is going too far. I'm just kind of like, shit, this is, and I loved feeling uneasy with some of those situations, like where he's like, just attacking people in broad daylight, fucking shooting people up and all this crazy shit. And I was like, damn, there's just a number of sequences where I was like, fuck, that is insane. The other thing I liked about it too is he's not a superhero. Like he gets hurt, injured, fucked up throughout the series. And he's like, not just like, oh, just a little bullet wound, no problem. He's like, fuck, dude, I got to recuperate. And, by the end, without spoiling anything, he's like pretty fucked up. He's not like just walking out like at the end of Commando with Schwarzenegger just holding his daughter after decimating an entire island and flying off in a plane. It's way, 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 way deeper than that. And I enjoyed the shit out of it. I like the supporting cast. Taylor Kitsch is great. Jean Triplehorn, Constance Wu, just a great cast all around. And it's cool. And there's an aspect to it that's very mysterious where you're kind of, you don't really know like what's going on. You're kind of like, is he losing his mind? Is he going crazy? And there's some really great transitions throughout these sequences where you see him kind of going from one moment being very present and then kind of transitioning into like a flashback or something else. And you're just like, whoa, what the fuck? And they're really clever transitions that I really enjoyed. So I loved it. And I thought the tactics, as someone comes from a military background, the tactics are fucking spot on. And I think that has a lot to do with Jack Carr being a part of the production and kind of overseeing it. There's stuff where I'm just like, oh yes. Like they build an EFP, which is electronically formed projectile, if I'm saying that correct, IED. And I'm just like, there's like all types of different shit that they put in this that come from actual like tactics and stuff from, the current conflict and things like that, which is just cool. It's great to see. And it's great to see Chris Pratt just fucking dove into this role. He did not show up unprepared, and he totally sheds like the Andy Parks and Rec role. So I'm into it, man. I think it's fucking cool. I think it's going to be another hit for Prime Video.
It seems like they do well in their adaptation of books. I was reading.
Yeah, like the action fucking, former military bro shit is great.
So what did you think of Morbius? You have it on your list. You saw Morbius finally?
I did. They sent it to me, and
everybody hates so much. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's not great.
No, I feel the same. I'm like, I was expecting a fucking train wreck, and there was parts where I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, or like, oh, that was, is it fucking great? No, it's not fucking great, but like, is it like this disaster? No,
I don't need Morbius 2, but it's not Battlefield Earth either. I mean, it's
no. And I will say there was a number of scenes like I was watching. So there's the scene where what's his name? Matt Smith, where he's revealed to be like a vampire, and they're in that train station, right? And he takes out all those cops and kills them like really fast. The whole time I was watching that scene, I was like, this scene would be 1,000 times better if it was rated R and there was like blood and everything, like, he fucked these guys up. That would be a memorable scene. But he goes and kills all these cops and you don't see a drop of blood. And I'm like, this is a movie about fucking vampires. And there's like hardly any blood in it unless it's in a plastic bag. Like, what kind of, that's not the best move for your vampire movie. It's kind of like, eventually you're going to have blood in your vampire movie.
It should have been like the first Blade.
Yeah, like exactly. I think Morbius would have benefited from an R rating. And I think if you let Dan Espinosa like actually go off the rails and just make something crazy, imagine Morbius rated R directed by Guillermo del Toro. People would probably fucking love it. It would be amazing, right? But they just don't allow these filmmakers to dive deep enough into these stories to make them actually cool. Well, they're trying to make a PG-13 franchise Marvel thing, and I'm like,
and a modestly budgeted one that they could get and they made their money back. I don't think that people will have an appetite for a sequel, but it did make its money back.
Yeah. Oh, then they did there's all the memes and everything over it that are like pretty funny, and they're like, hey, they're memeing about it, let's re-release it in theaters, and it was a fucking disaster. And it's like, honestly, I think that's proof positive. It's like one of the greatest examples I've seen recently of how listening to internet culture to guide you is the wrong fucking answer. Like there's so many people that are allowing loud voices on Twitter to steer society. And it's like, that's obviously, this is proof positive of the bullshit that is. Like, don't listen to people on Twitter tell you what to do. It's the worst fucking thing you could ever do. Don't listen to them.
I also saw that you watched The Old Man. I'm curious about that because I haven't seen it yet. I really want to see it, but I've heard mixed things, but I'm very eager to see it.
I love The Old Man. The Old Man is great. I might even like it better than Terminal List.
Really? Sounds like it looks like a pretty cool like action show with Bridges. I have a soft spot for Bridges, that's for sure.
I do too. I mean, I'm a huge Jeff Bridges fan, and I'm just so happy to see him back. And he's never had a role like this. Mm-hmm. He's done action roles back in his earlier days, and every now.
Yeah, I think like Blown Away, but he wasn't like the alpha male lead.
Never. He's never had like some ex-CIA guy kind of role like this.
Like Blown Away, he's always kind of like, the thing is, he's always kind of like salt of the earth kind of regular guy, but that makes him effective, I think. Like, I love Blown Away. That's a great movie.
Yeah, Old Man is really great. It's very kind of
and the fact that he was doing it when he was fighting cancer too is also pretty impressive, considering it's such a physical role. I've heard
it's very physical, like very physical. And it's cool because while he's quick and he's like skilled, again, it's like the Terminal List. It's like he's not infallible. He's not perfect. Like he fights these without spoiling it. He fights these two agents that are coming after him. And it's not a simple like Jason Bourne thing where he's like, bop, 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 bop. I'm the old man, I just whooped your ass. He bests them, but it takes some work. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about that. And it's a common complaint I have with a lot of shows or movies is you have like the henchmen, right? And they're supposedly hired to be henchmen for a reason because they're supposed to be skilled, right? In this, it's like, okay, these guys are actually like skilled agents. Like, they're not just getting their asses beat.
It was a good movie like that. I don't know if you saw it yet, but The Contractor with Chris Pine. That was.
I haven't seen it yet. That
was similar to like where he fights these guys and gets really fucked up and has to go like underground for like a while to like recover.
Yeah.
So messed up, and he's like, I need this amount of time. I need some drugs. I need this, and like I got to get better because he's all fucked up, And it's like every time he gets into one of these crazy fights, like he's really fucked up afterwards, So.
Well, I mean, and that's something, and I think we've talked about it on the show before too, is like, And it's something that I like about Terminalist and something I like about The Old Man both together is that I like seeing my heroes suffer.
Yeah,
I like seeing them go through some shit.
Be recognizably human. You know, like
exactly.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's why I like Stallone, because Stallone and Schwarzenegger even used to kind of do it in the old days, where Schwarzenegger not as much, but they would get fucked up a bit, like especially Stallone. He would always win the fights in his movies, and that's what made Rocky such a great figure. Because Rocky, you weren't always sure that Rocky was going to win, because sometimes he lost, and that was fine. That was the good thing about it.
Well, and those types of stories make it relatable to us as human beings. We're watching these things. It's not that like we're trying to be all of these people. I mean, I've walked in the shoes of at least somebody like James Reese to a degree. But we're not necessarily trying to be them, but we're trying to relate to them as human beings. And it's like all of us as humans suffer. All of us have issues. We fail, we fuck up, we get hurt, we get injured, and we have to make a comeback. I mean, how many people I know I have, it's like you have to like make a comeback of some sort, whether it's recuperating from an actual physical injury or a mental ailment or, some type of relationship issue, whatever. Being able to like get knocked down and then get back up again, that's a human thing, but it's also what makes drama. Nobody wants to watch a show or a movie where nothing happens. Like you need to see the character get to their worst point and work their way back out of it.
A textbook scene like that is Die Hard, when McClane walks across the broken glass and spends the next scene pulling glass out of his feet and crying.
Yeah.
He's gonna die. That's what makes him a hero, though. And he keeps going. Like to me, that was what made that character. And that
absolutely. That whole scene where he's talking to Al and telling him like, "Hey, man, getting a bad feeling. I don't think I'm gonna make it out of this."
If they remade Die Hard, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't have that scene. The Rock would never let a scene like that in.
The Rock or Vin Diesel, forget about it. They'd be like, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to be sitting in a bathroom pulling glass out of my feet. Okay. The glass would just pop out and my feet would heal immediately. But so anyways, I also will admit a total bias on something like The Terminalist. I'm former military. I love seeing that shit. I love that Jack Carr is able to make this stuff happen. And I love seeing Chris Pratt pull out a win. I think people are going to really flock to this show. I think that he takes a lot of shit for dumb stuff, because like, oh my God, Chris Pratt goes to church and says that he's a Christian, and Chris Pratt like loves America and he goes hunting and he's into this shit. I love seeing like him just say, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to go all in on this role and I'm just going to fucking, push myself. And I think it's great to fucking see. And it's great to see because he pulled it off. It's not because like, oh yeah, it's in your face. It's like, it's just great to see like he can do it, man. And I loved seeing like, there was multiple scenes in Terminalist where I was like, damn, like it was pretty hardcore stuff. And I was like, I'm liking this. I'm liking this version of Chris Pratt. Like, this is fucking cool.
I've been seeing.
Let's talk about it. Let's hear it, bro. I want to hear what you've seen.
What I just finished watching on the plane was that Warren Jeffs doc, Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey.
I haven't even heard of it.
If you want a true American horror story, it's about the FLDS and Warren Jeffs and his compound and his child brides. If you want to see a really fucked up story, that is the story for you.
Is there another one on him that's come out before?
Well, it's Under the Banner of Heaven, but that's different. It's not. It's
I feel like I saw another one. Maybe
there's a great documentary, and it interviews a lot of the people that left the church, and it is fucked up. This stuff happened in America, where underage brides were being taken by the dozens away from their homes. Families were broken up. Men, if they disagreed with their daughters being taken, were just thrown out and were never able to see their families again. It is a genuine horror story. And the fact is, as much as he's in jail now, he's not suffering. He's still leading the church from inside. And there are a lot of people that still believe in him. And it is crazy and it is disturbing that this could happen in a modern era. In America, it's fucked up because that is truly the danger of a cult of personality and, gone awry.
Yeah.
And whereas he didn't even give a fuck about any of this stuff too. He was in Vegas riding motorcycles and going to strip clubs when all this shit was going on. Like, it was crazy. With his hottest wives.
It's always the case, man. It's always the case.
But nobody. Anyway, that was great. I watched The Boys season 3. I really enjoyed. I won't go into it too much, but I thought it was great. I really liked Stranger Things. I haven't seen the newest episodes yet, but I thought it was really good. I think it's the strongest season since the first season, in my opinion. I like that Steve.
I'm enjoying Stranger Things as well. Looking forward to the last two.
I'm happy that Steve Harrington's getting a lot to do this season. I think Joe Keery really does have, I find, like a lot of presence and like a lot of, he seems like he could be a good leading man. My only complaint that I have is I'm bummed that 11 is being kept apart from the gang and that the gangs are split into two, because I always liked them all together. I can understand why they did it, because it was an important kind of formative year for them. But and it's kind of Finn Wolfhard's character and Joe Keery and stuff, they're kind of sidelined a little bit. But I do think that I do like the increased focus on Steve Harrington and the girl, the hot sister, and then Maya Hawke. I like all those characters, so I like that. I like that there's more for them to do this year. I thought that was great, and I like the new news too.
Yeah, it's hard. Cool. I really like Vecna. I really like that whole.
Yeah, I like that whole story too. How it came, like the origin of Vecna was cool.
Yeah, he's just a cool, fucked up. Like he's a fun villain, like it's just a fun, almost like a Freddy Krueger.
And I like that David Harbour has got to pull off some of his Marvel fighting tricks in his little kind of Russian like parallel storyline, which is like kind of like an action movie storyline.
Yeah.
And it's like that's like a hint of what Harbour's gonna do in Violent Night from the John Wick guys, his like crazy Santa Claus movie. I saw some footage from that, and it's very much in the mode of that. Like it looks like the craziest movie. It's this girl.
Everybody's trying to make badass Santa movies.
This one is gonna be this is like a really like R-rated one. Like it's so like this girl, she's in a family, her parents terrorists take over her, like kidnap her family and stuff like that, and she writes this Santa Claus to come and save her. So then Santa decides, I'm gonna go save her with like his elves, and they're all like badasses and stuff like that. You see like Santa just beating the shit out of guys and like it looks pretty insane. It looks awesome.
The night the reindeer died.
Well, no, it's kind of like that. And it's like, I feel like somebody saw that and they're like, let's make this into a movie.
Like, why is this not a movie?
And also like Santa Claus, I also like the fact that Santa is like this straight up hero though. Like he's very violent, but he's like the good guy. He wants to save this child, like I like that's taken with Santa, and the elves are really badass. Like it looks really cool. It's Tommy Wirkola, who was and the John Wick stunt team, so that's pretty neat. And Chad Stahelski and David Leitich produced it. But no, otherwise, I mean, I haven't watched a ton. I've been kind of busy with stuff going on at home. I had some issues going on with my family, but things are good now. I watched the dumbest fucking movie on Friday night, though. I don't know why. Laura went out and I decided to get high and watch TV. And I turned on. You ever seen? It's probably the worst Burt Reynolds movie ever made. Stoker Ace. Stoker Ace, where he's a race car driver.
Stoker Ace.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
There's a lot of bad Burt Reynolds movies.
There is a scene in this movie where he gets Lonnie Anderson drunk and he tells her, no, it's not actually alcohol, because he wants to fuck her. And he gets her drunk and she passes out and he's undressing her and he's joking about whether or not he's going to rape her. And then the next scene where she's like, did anything happen? He's like, no, nothing happened. She goes, oh, you're so wonderful. And we're supposed to think he's this wonderful guy because he didn't rape this girl that he got.
What a nice boy.
And it's also hinted that maybe he did too. Like, and it's all like, oh, he's such a rascal, that old Burt.
That old rascally rapist.
Oh, you watch that, it's like, what the fuck? And I was even like watching, I'm like, why am I watching this? Like,
oh shit. I mean, really, why are you watching it? Like,
I was high.
Why are you getting high and watching?
It was high and it was on one of the channels, and I was just like, I'll watch this for a few minutes. And
there's so many other things you could watch, Christopher. I don't understand why you would.
I just couldn't change the channel because it was too.
That's not working. I
ended up watching the whole thing, and I was mad the whole time. I was like, he's fucking stupid.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Any questions from our loyal listeners?
Well, let's find out.
My time zones are all fucked up, so I'm probably gonna take a quick nap before I go back out. I'm dead.
I mean, maybe you should, bro. Let's see what we got here. A couple. Let's see here. Jeremy Edwards, our loyal Jeremy. I know Paul saw some of the terminal list. I was wondering if he can talk about it. Well, I think I rambled on quite a bit about it there. So that it should be scratched. Let's see. Assuming y'all don't, but really curious to hear your thoughts. They said they filmed it as an 8-hour movie. I mean, I think it does feel kind of like an 8-hour movie in that sense. Maybe that's why there's some of the complaints that come from that you've heard in terms of, maybe sometimes where it's, not quite as energetic, but I mean, it's, I think adapting a novel and doing it as a series, I think 6 to 8 episodes is good. I think if Terminalist were 10 episodes, it would have been too much. Definitely would have been too much. And you probably could have accomplished what they needed to accomplish in 6 episodes, but ultimately, I don't really have any complaints outside of that. There's definitely some fucking hardcore scenes in Terminalist though, and I don't want to spoil any of them, but there's definitely some scenes where I'm like, fuck. Let's see. Ben Matthews, thoughts on The Offer? Fascinating insight into the renaissance of cinema in Hollywood. One of the seminal films of all time. Or what amounts to Paramount fan fiction. I need to watch the last 2 episodes of The Offer, but I've watched it up to that point and I've really enjoyed it. I think it's a great show for people that love like the art of filmmaking. I think it's great. I don't know that it would appeal to like your everyday person. I don't really hear anybody talking about it. So I think that's interesting. But I've enjoyed it. I think it's really good. Miles Teller's great. Giovanni Ribisi is interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll tell you this. When I started watching The Offer, it got me to watch the whole Godfather trilogy again. So I don't know. If nothing else, it'll pull you back into the Godfather trilogy.
I love Vincent.
I
love. Chris Cousins, first in love. Daddy.
Vincent. Dad. Dad.
You had no right. It was not what I wanted.
What I wanted. That whole scene is like ridiculous. Where he has like what is it like? Is it diabetes or something? Or Fredo! It's fucking nonsense. I really did not like Godfather Part 3, and I watched the new cut and everything, and I just really did not like it.
There are things about it that I like. I mean, I like Andy Garcia.
I mean, yeah, sure, I like Andy Garcia too. I think Joey Zaza. It could have been a cool movie, but it just wasn't. Let's see, Jan, do you think studios will be pressured to backtrack on their new short theatrical windows with sharply rising, it'll be streaming in 6 weeks anyway, so why go to theater sentiment?
Yes.
I feel like they overdid it a bit when they cut the 90 days in half or even shorter. Well, I think the perfect example of that right now is Lightyear.
Yeah. Well, Lightyear.
Why are people not going to see Lightyear?
Because rightly know that it's going to be on Disney Plus before you know it.
Yeah, and so it's like you could wait for Disney Plus, and you got Top Gun and Jurassic World, 2 mega franchises in theaters right now. Why go see Lightyear? It's not a Toy Story movie. If it were a Toy Story movie, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But the last 4 Pixar movies debuted on Disney Plus, so people are probably thinking, "Why should I go?"
And as Pixar and as Lightyear goes into the tank, I would imagine it'll probably come out in 2-ish weeks, maybe a little bit more, but not much more.
Yeah, just let Pixar movies fail at the box office, and you can watch them on Disney Plus. And the other thing too is the last 4 movies have not been all that great. Like Encanto had like popular songs, but I don't hear people talking about the movie. I just hear them talking about the songs.
Yeah, but was that even Pixar though?
Isn't Encanto Pixar?
I don't think so. Turning Red.
I don't even know it. I swear that was Pixar.
Red and then Luca. Neither of those were like.
I'm almost positive, but I'm gonna take a look. So Pixar movies. I'm gonna fucking Google this.
Yeah, Turning Red and Soul.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
and Luca.
Yeah, you're right. So, but either way, the last four. But so Encanto doesn't count. So, but Turning Red, Luca, Soul, and Onward, the last four, and none of those really did anything. Again, and I'm thinking Encanto was a Pixar movie, but it wasn't.
Well, and you can go even back even further than that. I don't think Toy Story 4 was that great. I don't think Incredibles 2 was great. And I don't think Cars 3 was great. I thought Coco was probably the last real good movie they did.
Yeah, but Toy Story 4 made a shit ton of money. Like Toy Story 4 was a hit as far as that goes. Incredibles 2 was incredibly disappointing. And you go back like Finding Dory, Good Dinosaur, like fuck. Mm-hmm. I think Inside Out to me was like the last one that I really
they've kind of struggled in recent years.
They have Monsters University before that, Brave, Cars 2, Jesus. Like it's been a long time since Pixar has had something like Up or Ratatouille, and they've really just kind of rode the wave on these franchises. So, Pixar, as much as I like their animation and I think it's amazing and all that other stuff, the fact of the matter is they've really rode like the sequel wave.
It's because Pixar had an amazing streak at one point. They did Finding Nemo's, Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, and Toy Story 3 back to back. And that
there was quite a few originals in there that were really great. And then something happened. They stopped.
Were all originals. They were all except for Toy Story 3, and Toy Story 3 was incredible. So that was it.
And what has happened? It's kind of like
lost it at some point.
So I actually think that Lightyear was a clever idea. I still haven't seen it though, and I don't have any desire to go watch it in the theaters.
Okay. It's like a Marvel movie animated. Like there wasn't much to it, I thought.
So again, for me, I'm absolutely of the mind. I already pay $7 a month for fucking Disney Plus. I'll just wait till it's there to watch it. And
before long, it'll be there.
I still haven't even watched Turning Red. I don't really have any desire to watch Turning Red. And I watched Luca like half-heartedly because I just couldn't get into it. I was like, this is fucking boring. And even Onwards, which my buddy Chris Pratt's in, I didn't really care for that. Like it ended up just being weird. What is this? And Soul, I actually did like. Soul, I thought was good, but then I was like, what child is going to want to watch this fucking middle-aged man drama about existence? Like, what the fuck are they doing at Pixar? So, but anyways, I'm getting off the point here of the question from Jan, which is, do I think it's going to adversely affect them? I think Lightyear is the perfect example of how that's affecting it now, where they're seeing like shit.
I think you need to extend the windows a bit. I think people are going back to theaters now, and they're not going to go if they can watch something in 45 days. I think you need to change the window to at least 60 days.
Well, and I think that there's certain properties that people are going to go no matter what. Like Doctor Strange is going to be on Disney Plus this Wednesday, so you can start watching it there, but it's still fucking cleaned up at the box office, and Marvel movies will continue to do that. Thor, Love and Thunder.
Marvel, because everybody wants to go see that the first weekend. That's the thing, so.
But Top Gun Maverick is an anomaly in that way. Jurassic World Dominion is doing great business. There's a good chance it'll probably top over $1 billion again, just like the last two. Even though critics are, saying they hate it, the audiences are loving it. And what's interesting, if we're looking at like a Rotten Tomatoes score on something like Jurassic World Dominion, is it's actually the second highest rating audience score, just behind the first Jurassic Park. Whereas all the other ones have way lower audience scores. So it's the one time where you have this major discrepancy between critics and audiences, and it has an A- cinema score. And it's kind of like,
That happens sometimes though.
Again, it's like, there's certain properties where it's like they can become critic proof in that way. And I think that Jurassic World Dominion is entertaining enough that people don't give a fuck. Like they're getting what they wanted to see, which was dinosaurs and the legacy cast. And there it is. But then you have something like Lightyear. You have a Toy Story character voiced by Captain America. You think it's like, oh, it's a for sure win, but it's like, nah, not so much. Not so much. Let's see if we have any other questions. I think that was it. Let's see. Hold your water. I think that's it.
Well, cool.
Everybody midday. So anyways, that's it for this week. I think we covered a lot. We've been absent for a little bit. Both been kind of busy figuring things out. I did upgrade our hosting account again so that we will be back across all the audio platforms. We've gotten a lot of people asking questions about that in terms of wanting to be able to listen as well as YouTube. So I just went ahead and upgraded the account to that so that we can get the podcast back out. And also it helps too, because we are, I am trying to line up a lot of different people to come on. And, just want to make sure that we're getting the word out to as many people as a result. So if all goes well, we will have some terminal list people on for next week. So I'm very excited for that, obviously, because I enjoyed the show. And hopefully Chris will get a chance to check it out. Chris, I think that you will enjoy. I think you'll get the Rambo and the Punisher aspects of the show. I think you'll probably have some issues with pacing as well. But, you're pretty good at making up your own mind.
I'll be watching it 100%.
It's good. It's good, though. So anyways, I hope you guys, I hope everybody at home is having a great summer. You guys are getting out there and watching some cool shit. My recommendations for the next couple weeks, I would say for me would be Terminalist and The Old Man. I can't wait to watch the next episodes of The Old Man. They only had the first two and I don't have screeners for it. So I will definitely be checking more.
You're watching it just like everybody else.
I'm gonna watch it like a regular person. I don't always get screeners. I will mention, I forgot to mention this because I was supposed to interview the director today, but it did not happen. But the Lost tapes, the Chernobyl documentary, I know you and I, Chris, we love the Chernobyl show on HBO, and the Lost tapes is very much like, it's almost like seeing a Cliff's Notes version of that show, but with real footage, including like what that shit did to the people, like the liquidators and the firefighters and stuff. And that shit, I'm telling you, I had nothing but dreams of Russia last night. I knew it was going to fuck with my head. It was the last thing I watched before I went to bed. And I was like, it will fuck with you. Like, it is still to this day, just one of the most horrifying things to think about. What that radiation does to people is just fucking freaky as shit. So I do recommend that as well. So there you have it. Right, Chris?
Absolutely.
So Chris is going to go get drunk now. Chris, stay out of trouble. Don't get arrested. I don't want to hear any Ezra Miller stories about Chris Bumbray in the news. I'll be watching out for you.
You're arguing with people about the origins of Parcheesi.
What do you mean? That's not how Rastafarianism started. Check out my gat. I'm going to shoot you. You are in America now, buddy. So you just better be careful.
Real trouble that way.
All right, that's it for us this week. Everybody have a great week. Remember to love what you love, and we'll see you next time.